still go on, believe me. The world could show nothing to me. So what good would living do me? God only knows what I'd be without you. Hey, it's Nate with another piano tutorial. Today I'm doing God Only Knows by the Beach Boys. A lot of you have requested this one, and honestly I procrastinated because it's a little bit intimidating. It's just an absolutely stunning composition. Harmonically, one of the most sophisticated songs in pop music history. The mind-blowing part to me is that someone was able to compose such a chord progression and melody, but now that it exists, we can learn it. It's not one of my easiest tutorials, but it's not as hard to play as you might think. Maybe with the exception of that 4-measure instrumental interlude, but I'll give you some easier alternatives for that. Let's jump in. All right, so first off, I recommend getting the chords and lyrics chart. There's a link down in the description that'll help you follow along and see where the chords and the lyrics line up with each other. We'll start off with the intro. Here's the first line of that. And so the first chord we're gonna need to play is an A major chord here. And so that's E, A, and C sharp, 1, 2, and thumb playing that. And this is middle C here for reference. And then we're also gonna need an E chord, which is gonna look like that. E, G sharp, B. Notice the pinky can stay in the same place. And we're in 4/4 time, so each of these measures gets 4 counts. And with the right hand, we can play that French horn melody here. To do the rhythm on that, and a lot of the rhythms in this song, you're gonna need to be thinking in eighth notes. So we're not just counting 1, 2, 3, 4. We're also dividing the beat in half, feeling the ands, the upbeats in between. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The notes for this melody are gonna be C sharp, I'm gonna do that with my second finger, D sharp, E, crossing the thumb under, up to B with my pinky, and then stepping down to A. Again. And the way to count this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And then when we put it together with the left hand, first off, for the very first chord, we can not have the left hand do the C sharp because our right hand is doing it on the melody. So for just that first measure of A, I'm just gonna do the E and the A there. So, and then they're gonna connect here. When I hit the E here, I'm go to the E major chord here. And then on that last E, hit the high B, and then back to that with the hitting the A in the right hand. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So this gets kind of interesting. For the next line here, put the next line up on the screen here. We've got, we're gonna kind of come down here. So I'm actually gonna take over this E chord with my right hand so the left hand can get ready to do the bass stuff. So I'll show you that bass in a minute, but taking over the chord like that, it's a little bit weird. It's not actually that tough. I'll show you this bass line. I would say this is optional though, if this is too tricky, but the way the left-hand bass enters is B, E, F sharp, A. The timing there is gonna be 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. So just leading into this next line where we start playing right-hand chords, left-hand bass notes. So for this line, I'm now gonna be doing a root position A major chord in the right hand. That's A, C sharp, and E. And left hand can come up here to do an A bass note for that. And then E over G sharp. So that is just stepping down to a G sharp bass note here, stepping down to this inverted E major chord here. G sharp, B, E, 1, 2, 5. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. F sharp minor 7. We're gonna step down to the F sharp bass note, but we're just gonna go right back to that A shape. A, C sharp, E. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll get to this in a second, but to land in this measure, you're gonna step down to an E bass note here and just do kind of the bottom part of the A major chord, like that. Also, while we're at it here, I want to show you the main bass rhythm that the left hand's going to do throughout the whole song. So throughout most of this song, we're going to be pulsing these quarter notes. Nice and simple, just on every count. And let's just loop it on an A. The bass rhythm is going to be 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1. Slowly, that's 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and if that's a little too tricky, you can totally omit the and after 4 and just do the other 2 hits. But altogether with this line, it's going to sound like. So I'll show you that. That's the last tricky thing for the intro. So you land an E at the beginning of the measure, and then we've got E, F sharp, G. That G is kind of stepping out of the key a little bit. Timing on that is 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And that happens throughout the song. This is the only time, though, that the right hand does this cool harmony. It's optional, but we've got really interesting sounding. A and C sharp when you've got the E's. When you step up to the F sharp, B and D sharp, going 1 and 3 to 2 and 4. And then when you hit the G here, C natural and E with 3 and 5. So I'm gonna just play the whole intro one more time and then we can get into the meat of the verses. And by the way, if coordinating this rhythm between the hands is beyond you right now, this song will still sound really good if you just hold the bass notes and do the quarter note pulse in the right. Then we've got I may not always love you. All right, so here are the chords for the verses. First, we've got a D over A. So letter before the slash is the chord. Letter after the slash is the bass note. D, F sharp, and A here. I'm actually going to use my 5th finger here. Finger numbers get a little bit weird in this song because you're moving around so much. You got to just kind of figure it out as you go. I probably don't do it the same way every time. And then we've got this B minor 6. So stepping up to B bass note here, and you can keep these 2 fingers where they are and just add with your 4th finger this G sharp. So that's a really smooth transition there. Now we're gonna come all the way up to this F sharp here for this F sharp minor. I'm gonna use my 2nd finger because we're about to need to go even higher. So F sharp and then thumb on A, 2nd finger C sharp, pinky on F sharp here. And then this is the first time where we've had 2 chords splitting the measure. So the first half of the measure, the first 2 counts, 1, 2 are that. And then for this F sharp minor 7, all we gotta do is drop that top note down to an E. So that measure is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, we're going to add in that bass rhythm. So it's going to be like 1, 2, and 3, 4, and let's keep going though. We've got now a B over A. For this, we're actually going even higher in the left hand. We're going to put our thumb on this A and then play the B with the right hand. So thumb on A and left, and then B, D sharp, F sharp. Let me play this whole line. So of course we're adding those quarter notes and the rhythms and stuff. Just a little note for accuracy. On the recording, the piano actually jumps up and does this really high end version of the B there. There's other instruments going on though. I think it sounds good to keep it there. It sounds, when it's just you and piano, a little disjointed, and it just makes it harder. So I'm gonna do it like that. Let's look at the next line. So now we've got this E over B. We can actually keep our thumb in the right hand where it is and do E major like that. B, E, G sharp, coming down to this B bass note here. 2, 3, 4, then up to C diminished 7. We're gonna step up to the C bass note, of course. We got C, D sharp, F sharp, and A there. Again, just 4 counts with all the rhythm. then right back to that E over B, and then finally we've got this A sharp minor 7, flat 5. Now just notice, actually, I'm not going to do the A sharp here because we already are doing it in the left hand. Notice that in the right hand, you're already doing these two notes. All we got to do is just get rid of the B and add the C sharp. That makes it really smooth there. So again, this whole second line. Then to finish up the verse here, we go to, this is basically going to be like the second line of the intro. With the A stepping down. Although this time we can voice when we hit that E at the end. I'm not going to stay on that like we did the intro. I'm going to do G sharp, B, and E. So already we're seeing a couple different inversions of the same chords in different points of the song. But this is, of course, the God only knows what I'd be without you. So here we do that same left hand thing we did in the intro, but we just leave it bare. We don't try to do that harmony in the right. I should mention, for accuracy's sake, the voicing of the F sharp minor 7 includes a high F sharp here like that, so you could voice it like that. It makes it a little bit trickier to play, and I keep forgetting to do it and think it sounds good without it, but that is how it sounds on the recording. So most of the song is made out of these verses, so you're already a good part of the way there. I'm going to play and sing through this whole verse a little bit slowly one more time. I may not always love you, but long as there are stars above you, you'll never need to doubt it. I'll make you so sure about it. God only knows what I'd be without you. Then we would be in the next verse. Okay, so now we are in verse 2. Here's the chords for verse 2. You'll notice it's the exact same thing. The words are, of course, different, but it does stop after the F sharp minor 7. So we've got God only knows what I'd be without you. Because right there, very suddenly, it drops into that. So let's talk about this interlude. I'm going to give you a bunch of different options for it. On your chords and lyrics chart, I put the underlying chords for this 4-measure section here. And so let's just do a simple version that would basically just be playing those chords with the rhythm that is used here. So we've got it A over E like this, E, A, C sharp, with E being the bass note. And then when it goes to G, you're basically stepping the shape down, but it's going to be D, G, and B, and a G bass note there. And here is the rhythm for that. Of course, we need to think in eighth notes. It's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you're going to hit on the first two counts, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. So in the second half of that measure, you kind of hit on the upbeats, and 4 and 1, 2, and on the and after 2, you just start playing on every single eighth note. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. So see if you can get the hang of that. If you've got that, just one other little addition is on the and after 3 bass hit in the left to do an F sharp instead of an E, and then step back to the E. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. And the first half of this line is the same as the second half. So this whole section would sound like. I'm now going to start building towards the whole thing, but I'll still give you a couple more easy options at the end of this. First step is on these two measures where it's the A over E. In the right hand, instead of just being on this inversion, we're going to go back and forth between this lower inversion where we've got the C sharp, E, and A like that. Just back and forth. Right? And then we drop into the G there. So now this is the part that gets really wacky. In the right hand, we're just going to be stepping down thirds on each of the 5 hits we do in those measures. F and A, E and G, D and F, C and E, B and D. You know, I will probably do something like 3 and 5, 2 and 4, 1 and 3, and then just kind of hop for the last 2, just because my hand is used to that. But if you want to hop the whole way, that totally works. And then here, I wrote out, and this is on your chords and lyrics sheet at the very end, here is all the notes for this part. So I just went through what you see on top in the right hand. Now on the left hand, we've got the E, E, F sharp, E, G, just as we've been doing it. And then this part is stepping up C, D, E, G, A. So just stepping up on all of those 5 notes, but we're skipping the F. And so you could take your time with this. It's just stacked up vertically with the right hand on top, but it's gonna sound like. And then it loops around a second time. Let me just do that second bit a few times. It's really pretty tricky just to have the hands going in opposite directions. I don't know how he came up with this. And then it's also a little awkward to make that stretch between your third and second finger there. If it makes it easier for you, you could boil the right hand part down to just the highest note that's being heard at all times. So we would do A, C sharp, A, C sharp, B, and then just stepping down. Maybe crossing over the finger if you do that. So that's one option. Also, a totally different option, and this is what they did live sometimes, would be to sort of just skip the whole vibe here and do, when you land at the end of the second verse, to still after, God only knows what I'd be without you. Just like we did before, and then doing the same thing in a new key here on A, B, C, because that is pushing us into the new key that we're going to use for the bridge section. So again, that would be, God only knows what I'd be without you. And then we would do the bridge section, which I will teach you now. Okay, so now we're in this bridge section. That's the part that has all the oh, ba, 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 all those cool interweaving vocals there. But here's the underlying chords. All it is another verse, but it's been transposed up a 4th higher. So the pacing of it will feel familiar, but we got to learn some new chord shapes. So right off the bat, we're going to start with this G over D like that. I'm going to come up here to a D, and then a D, G, and B here. Then for this E minor 6, I'm going to move the hand up here. So E in the left hand, and then we've got a G, a B, and a C sharp here. Then this part's a little bit interesting. We're going to come up to the F sharp here. And it's a B minor inversion in the right hand, so D, F sharp, and B with the F sharp there. But then when it goes to the B minor 7, of course, the top note has to move down like we did before when it was in the other key. But we're going to go down to the B bass note here. So this measure is going to look like. And then finally, we've got this E over D. So that's just a regular root position, E, G sharp, and B with the D bass note. Next, we've got this A over E. So stepping up to E in the left hand, and then E, A, and C sharp there. Now F diminished. So gonna come up to an F here, and then we've got F, G sharp, and B there. Right back to the same A over E. Now we've got this D sharp minor 7 flat 5. So stepping down to the D sharp here, and then in the right hand, basically an F sharp minor chord, F sharp, A, and C sharp there. Let me do those full 2 lines one more time. And now we're to the God only knows part, and the vocals do come in there for God only knows what I'd be without you. So it's just like in the other key. It's a little high for my voice here, but we've got the D major there, stepping down to an A over C sharp, and then B minor 7, where you do the B bass note, but you're basically just doing that same D major triad in the right hand. And that goes right into the beginning of verse 3, which is in the same key as all the other verses. This is so cool the way this works here. We've got God only knows what I'd be without you. If you should ever leave me. So, you know, like this bridge section feels like it's just naturally stepping down into that, but that's also the verse starting. It's like slightly disorienting, but it works so well. So cool. Here's the chords for that third verse. Once again, it's the same as the other verses, but the very ending is different. So you'll notice that in the last line, after the F sharp minor 7 during the God only knows part, it goes back up to the E over G sharp, and that's kind of lead us into the outro. So that last line of this verse is going to be God only knows what I'd be without you. So that time I included that high F sharp there. Again, that's totally optional. And that's leading us into the outro. Here's the outro. It's just that same thing we just did over and over again. The only thing is right when you hit the outro, we lose the quarter notes. It kind of breaks down a little bit and we just do God only knows what I'd be without you. Then some drums start coming in, so I'll probably go back to the quarter notes. Knows what I'd be without you. God only knows. So this is where there's those different intersecting vocals. I can't do all of them, but you can get the out you and do the God only knows. God only knows. So this is where on the recording, after a little bit here, it starts fading out. So you could try to recreate that. Might be a little tricky. I think what I'll just do is just sort of decisively end on an E at the end, like this. So this would be my last time around. God only knows what I'd be without you. So I think that sounds pretty good as an alternative way to end it. And I'll just go around as many times as I feel like it, and the song is over. Okay, thank you for sticking with me. This was a lot. A very complicated one, but so interesting and fun to play. I'm going to do a full cover now so you can see how all these parts fit together. If you enjoyed this, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel. If you have not yet, click the bell so you know when I put out new videos like this. Also leave a request in the comments. Like I said, this one was several requests. Keep them coming. All right, here's my version of God Only Knows. Long as there was God.